Hello, everybody, and welcome back to an extremely exciting stream here today on Amateur Hour Sports. Today, we are going through my entire first-round mock draft for the 2024 class, the updated version after I went through my first version last week, 1 week ago on Tuesday, and I gotta say, I made quite a bit of changes here. Even in the top parts of draft, quite a bit of changes overall here, just for a lot of spots. New information has come out about where players maybe want to be, which teams are interested in which players. New information maybe has come to myself about the caliber of players, the caliber of the players that I've already discussed, and what teams should favor in those spots. So quite a bit of tinkering has been done here, but I feel pretty good about where I've ended up. Kind of the way I've done this mock draft here, the way it's shaped up with some of the changes I've made in the middle of the pack, have actually led me to believe that there's a really good chance that a player with a ton of talent should fall to the Raptors at 19th overall, and it'll be a player that should be expected to go higher. And honestly, I didn't plan for it to go this way. It just kind of happened where I just wasn't really seeing a good destination for this player. All of a sudden, he's available at 19th overall. So that is where I have him going, to the Toronto Raptors. And if he does, it would be extremely exciting because even he was high on my list. I was just thinking he's not going to be available at 19 to the Raptors. Well, I have a reality that I believe could transpire where he ends up at the Raptors. That is going to be my prediction for who ends up with the Raptors. I went live on the Bleacher Report app earlier today to discuss Raptors draft prospects. He was very high on my list. However, I did not discuss him because I just didn't really see how he'd end up at 19. Well, I see the path. I see the reality now where he ends at 19th overall. A lot of stuff changes even throughout just half a day here. So I'm excited to get through this, but you'll have to wait till we get to 19. We're going to start at the first pick, of course, go down to the 30th pick, and hey, just to throw it in, we'll talk about the 31st overall pick as well because that is where the Raptors are drafting on the second night of the NBA draft, and is again a new player for the Raptors in this position as well. So eve of the draft, lots of great content coming your way. If you enjoy what you see from this stream here today, make sure you do hit that like button and make sure as well you're subscribed to Amateur Sports. I'm going to be live after the top 10 picks tomorrow. I'm not going to be live for the top 10 picks tomorrow. We're going to be live. No, well, I will be live, not here on Amateur Sports. I'll be live on the Board YouTube channel, youtube.com/@theboard. I will actually just link that here for you guys now. This is my channel. I work for a company called The Hammer. This is our NBA content division. So I will toss in the link to that. I'll be live there for the top 10 picks. Then you can come on over right here where I'll be live for the 11th pick onwards. And I will be live, of course, that 19th overall pick. I did the exact same thing last season where the Raptors are 13th pick. I was live for the top 10 picks with The Hammer. Afterwards, went over here, stream the rest of it. I'll also be live for the second round of the draft. I'll have a video out tomorrow talking about my Raptors top targets. I'll have a video coming out Wednesday talking about the player the Raptors drafted, 19th overall. And a video will be out on Friday talking about the player they drafted, 31st overall. So tons of content, tons of stuff coming your guys' way. Great time to be involved with Amateur Hour Sports. But let's get started here. A lot to go through over the course of the stream today because we got to go through the entire first round of the draft. So let's just dig in, shall we? So we're going to start with the first pick. And honestly, even with the first pick, there's going to be a change here. So last week when I did the first pick, I just kind of banked on the Hawks coming to their senses and thinking, let's just get the best player in the draft. In my opinion, the best player in this draft is Alex Sarr. But they're not going to take the guy who is the best player in the draft. They're going to go Zachary Rizache with the first overall pick. Basically, just the news has come out. Alex Sarr has not worked out for the Hawks. He told the Hawks he does not want to work out for them. He turned down the offer to work out there. He seems to be keen on joining the Wizards, seems to be keen on going to a rebuilding team, getting heavy minutes out the gate rather than competing with Okongwu, rather than competing with Capella. Just sees the Wizards pretty clearly as a better destination. It's been a few months now where Zachary Rizache has been considered to be the first pick, and we're really locking on that now. Zachary Rizache is widely expected to be the first overall pick. I don't believe he's the best player in this draft. In fact, I could make a case for a few guys to be the best player in this draft other than Reza Shea, but every indication is pointing towards him being the top pick for this draft. Not a typical type of top pick. Like, he trends really well as a 3-and-D guy. The player comp I've seen is Harrison Barnes. I prefer the player comp for Tobias Harris. Not the type of guy you would usually see going first overall. However, the Hawks like the guy they have here. I fully expect him to go in this direction, though I feel as though the Wizards are getting the better player at pick number 2, Alex Sarr. I think the highest upside in this draft class. He can be that defensive anchor for this team that they've been missing. Interior scoring threat, three-point shooting upside. A lot to really like about the size and length. Alex Sarr, highest potential in this draft. The Wizards, they lucked out getting the second pick, to be honest, because not only are they going to pay Alex Sarr less because they're taking him second overall, the media cloud, if you will, of being selected first overall won't be hanging above Alex Sarr in this weaker draft class. So there won't be the pressure of being that first pick on him. He'll have a better ability to just be himself and do his thing. And again, I do expect him to emerge as the best player from this draft class. Pick number 3 hasn't changed. This is one of the biggest locks, I think, out there. Reed Sheppard to go number 3 to the Houston Rockets. It's looked like that's going to be the case for a while now, and for good reason. Hyper efficient, every level of offense. Insane three-point shooter. Insane shooting gravity. He shot above 50% from 3 in college this season, the entire season. Like, just ridiculous. And even though he's 6'1", he is a good defender, pesky defender. I think he had like 3 steals per game, I think it was, with Kentucky this season. Fantastic player. There's a reason he's going 3rd overall. Got the intangibles, I think, that fits in with what Ime Udoka wants. It seems like I feel very good about this being the top 3 players in the draft. That leaves Donovan Clingan out. Donovan Clingan, it's weird to try and piece together where he'll fit. And it might take a while to get to him. We'll talk about him a bit more in just a second here. But we're going to move into pick number 4. Pick number 4, I've changed here. I think it's looking like Stephon Castle goes to the Spurs at number 4. Big guard, really good defender. Overall, solid feel for the game as a guard. The next steps, he'll have to work on his shooting. But I think the Spurs will see the defense they want to work with here and a point guard that they want to work with here. Point guard is a position they absolutely need to address. I only can really see them going Matas Buzelis other than Castle, but the picture has become clearer and clearer as the week has gone on here that it's looking like Stephon Castle as the number 4 pick is the way that the San Antonio Spurs are going to go in this position here. Moving on to pick number 5. Confidence extremely high on this one. Matas Buzelis to number 5 to the Detroit Pistons. The Pistons haven't liked a lot of guys that are supposed to go in this range. They have liked Matas Buzelis. I think they'll relish the opportunity to take him here if the Spurs pass on him. If it's not Buzelis, I think it'll be Cody Williams. But I think they'll be much happier to get Buzelis here. A lot of good tools, good feel overall, and a good upside for the Detroit Pistons to work with. Honestly, I really like Matas Buzelis as a prospect. I really hate the fit with the Pistons. It's unfortunate that that's where he's probably going to end up. I don't think the Pistons will have what it takes to get the most out of his development, again, which kind of sucks. I think for his sake, he'd rather go to the San Antonio Spurs, but I think this one makes the most sense for the Pistons here. So I'm going Buzelis at 5. I also have a wager on Buzelis to be a top 5 pick in this draft because I do feel as though that is going to be his draft range. Runner 1 in chat says, if we had Reed Sheppard as our backup point guard for IQ, it would be amazing. I mean, hell, start the guy. Put Emmanuel quickly to 2. Or just have a double point guard system. Like, Reed Sheppard's floor spacing is unbelievable. Unbelievable stuff. You know, I didn't actually say what's up to the people in chat. We got some great people here. We got Gregory, Winner 1, Nebu Solomon, Sumaya, welcome back, Daniel Berry Sports Highlights, and Michael Borland. Thank you, everybody, for joining. If you're enjoying this so far, make sure you do hit that like button. Nebu Solomon asked about Carrington at 19. We'll get there, you know? We'll get to number 19. Let's go to number 6, though, next. So I actually feel pretty good. Not pretty good, but I feel like this has a high potential to be traded here. So I'm not going to mock the trade. However, I think that Donovan Clingan could end up at 6 and the Grizzlies trade up. But if I have to, it's really hard to predict trades. So I'm just going to do the draft as if there are no trades here. Look out for Clingan at 6. But if the Hornets are selecting here, I'm going Dalton Connect. We're going pretty high here with Connect. But I just think they'll see a guy that's going to be ready to help this team big time on offense. He's a do-it-all scorer, excellent floor spacing. I think he's ready to contribute. I think he'll be a great fit with LaMelo Ball on this team. Could they go Donovan Clingan replace Mark Williams? I don't think they should. So for me, yeah, they might just say get their guy. Dalton Connect could be that guy. If Stephon Castle doesn't go 4, I think he'll go 6. But I think Castle goes 4. Therefore, I think the Hornets just go, let me get our guy. Let's get the guy, Dalton Connect here. One of the best scorers, one of the best shooters in this draft class. No doubt indeed. NBA ready despite being 23 years old. But the Hornets need some pop right away. He can do that. I have him a bit higher than most, but I like him here. Moving on to pick number 7. I feel better and better about this one. Cody Williams, 7th overall to the Portland Trailblazers. The consensus pick here at 7 is Donovan Clingan. Portland already have DeAndre Ayton. I don't see a reason to draft Donovan Clingan, but I see a reason to draft Cody Williams. He's a big wing who brings in defense, brings in some scoring, brings in some handling, brings in a lot of upside. Now, I know there's a lot of ball handlers already on Portland, but I think Cody Williams has the size to fit in with these guys and perhaps add to some facilitation to turn some of those already players on the team like Anthony Simons into more of shooters. I think there's a lot of upside here that the Portland Trailblazers shouldn't really ignore. So I am going to go with Cody Williams at 7. Though I will admit I don't love the fit for any of the guys at 7th overall. I don't love a lot of fits here, but I could see this one getting traded. But I think if Portland are drafting, they do go Cody Williams in this spot. No reunited Jalen Williams, J-Dub with his brother, but number 7, Cody Williams to the Trailblazers. Next up, I don't even think this is a reach. This is starting to become increasingly likely for me. Devin Carter going 8th overall to the San Antonio Spurs. Here's a guy that, a month and a half ago was projected to go low 20s. I was infatuated with this player. I wanted him so bad for the Raptors at 19th overall. I guess I kind of was early on it because NBA scouts caught up. And now he's probably even going to go in the top 10. I see a good landing spot for him being the San Antonio Spurs. Already a really good defender, 6'3", 6'8" wingspan in the guard position. Had some amazing shooting in his last college season with Providence, I think it was. And I think that's the type of player that really fits what the Spurs are trying to build. NBA ready, going to help this team from day one. Any team after 8, 8 or later, take Devin Carter if he's available, to be honest, to me. So that brings us to number 9. This is too far now for Donovan Clingan. The Grizzlies need a center. They will relish the opportunity to take Donovan Clingan. I just did it again in this spot. To be honest, like I said, he probably goes a touch higher. But if he does go a touch higher, it'd have to be a trade. Like, Donovan Clingan's getting all this draft stock here, but the Spurs don't need a big. They have Victor Wembanyama. They are way better than Spurs when Victor Wembanyama plays the 5. So why would they, they should not draft a center and make that harder to use him at the 5. The Pistons have so many guards, so many bigs. That's why I have them taking a forward here, Buzelis. They don't need a big. The Hornets have Mark Williams, who's better than Donovan Clingan. The Portland Trailblazers have DeAndre Ayton. The Spurs, again, we just talked about them. So I think the Grizzlies take him. However, I can see a team trading up somewhere in 6 or 7 to get Clingan. Therefore, a trade I'd look out for is Grizzlies to 6 to get Clingan, Hornets to 9, where I think they might still get Dalton Connect. If not, there's going to be a good player there for them. I think Connect could go 8 to the Spurs if he doesn't go 6 to the Hornets. But again, that's just one to look out for there. Good rim protector. Good interior scoring threat for sure. I think he's a great fit there. I think that's a good spot for him. I don't see top 5 pick upside for Donovan Clingan, but seems a popular pick. And again, could see him easily going 6th overall in this draft. Final player for the top 10, Nikola Topic. Should have been a top 5 pick, but had some injury concerns. a team that can wait out that injury is the Jazz, and they could use a point guard, a more pure point guard at that. Great size for the position, Topic. Great handles to go with it. Good shot creator for himself. Gets to the rim well, facilitates for others. A lot of classic European point guard tendencies here. If it wasn't for the injury, again, he'd be going way higher. I think the Jazz will relish the opportunity to find the upside here that Topic could bring to them with the 10th overall pick. I can see him dropping, but I don't love any other player here for the Jazz. So, if Connect falls there, I think that's their priority. If Carter falls there, maybe they look at him. But as I have it here, I see Nikola Topic as the player for the Jazz at pick number 10. We didn't even talk about OG entering free agency. Well, I did last week. I kind of saw this whole thing coming. I mentioned it last week, and it was earlier this week. It's Tuesday, so it was last week. Days was just a jumble, a big old blur. But I did mention it and broke it down in a video. I don't think the Raptors will get him. However, I think OG is just trying to handcuff the Knicks into giving him a fat contract, and I think he's going to get it. And I've been saying for over a year now that don't be surprised when OG starts to creep into max contract territories. And, well, here we are. He's creeping into max contract territories for sure. At least high 30s for his contract. Isaac Tanner says, I hope you put Yves Missy at 19. We're going to have to see. You got to wait till we get there, everybody. Pick number 11. All right, we're getting there. Pick number 11. No changes here from my last mock draft. Rob Dillingham to 11. I can see him going 8. The Spurs may prefer him at 8th overall to Devin Carter, in which case I'll think Carter will go 11th to the Bulls. As I have it here, I see the Spurs passing on this. Rob Dillingham brings a lot of self-creation upside, good shot-making, playmaking upside, a little bit undersized, but I think the Bulls can work with a player like this and bring in some scoring to this team. And maybe one that could fall a bit further, but I think the Bulls will be happy to take Rob Dillingham with the 11th overall pick. That makes sense, and I think that's, again, just a bit too far for the guy. Number 12 is another change here. Going to go with Salon at 12th overall. My mock draft has changed as a result of the Alex Caruso-Josh Giddey trade. No longer do I feel like the Oklahoma City Thunder will go. I think I had Jacoby Walter in this position. They already kind of got the defensive, I guess we'll call Caruso a bit of a two-guard. I mean, not really. He's a guard defender. So I think they play a bit more of the upside game here and patient game. Salon brings a lot of good bases of talent to work with, but there's a lot of upside in a lot of different areas and positional versatility that the Thunder have liked. This isn't exactly the win now pick that I kind of wanted to take for them. I just don't really see that player available to them in this position. So I think Salon at this spot, it makes sense for the Thunder to go with, and it would be on brand for a Thunder type of pick. Pick number 13, I got Ron Holland here. This is the kind of player that the Kings need, a switchable and athletic forward. The Kings are good enough that they won't have to task Ron Holland with a lot offensively out the gate. Therefore, you can really hone in on his defensive talent. I think this is a great fit for the Kings and for Ron Holland himself to just focus on the things he does well here and grow into his role in the NBA. I think there's a spot for him here. I think the defense is something that the Kings will like having out the gate as well. Great stuff here. That's pretty far. I think my initial mock draft had Holland in 7th. Wide range of outcomes here for Ron Holland, but the Kings will be happy to get him this late. It might be a bit too far for Ron Holland, so the Kings will be, again, very happy there. Typo. Wow. Okay, so this is where my draft honestly goes off the rails. We've got Tristan da Silva at 14th overall, going to the Portland Trailblazers. Honestly, guys, this mock draft took me a long time because I just kept on thinking about where to put a guy like Tristan da Silva, who goes in this spot to the Portland Trailblazers. Honestly, I just got to the point where I'm like, who else are the Portland Trailblazers going to take at 14th? Why would they not? They have plenty of guards. They have plenty of ball handlers, and they even added one in here in my draft, Cody Williams. They have bigs, like they've got Time Lord. They've got DeAndre Ayton. There's no need to go with a big here. There's no need to go with a guard here. So that rules out McCain. That rules out Jacoby Walter. That rules out Edey. So I'm like, why would they not go Tristan da Silva here? Get him in the late lottery. Great size and spacing to add to this young core. I would much prefer from a just pure, I want to see a guy do his best in the NBA standpoint. I'd love to see da Silva on Miami at 15, Philly at 16, or Lakers at 17. But I just don't see any reason why they should pass on da Silva at 14. I don't know why. I mean, they could add another big. Maybe they think Edey here, but I don't think there's any argument. Like, I really want to put da Silva at 15, 16, or 17. And I think they'll all be pissed that he's not available. But I don't see any reason or any player that the Portland Trailblazers should take over da Silva. So I got him at 14 here. And that really starts to shake things up, honestly. And that's where the draft starts to get a little bit hectic. Now, what's not hectic is pick number 15. Jared McCain to the Miami Heat. My original mock had Zach Edey at 15. Honestly, it was just, I can see it, but I'm just trying to put Zach Edey in this range for the sake of it. I just don't see a lot of teams where he really fits, but I think a team will eventually take a stab on him. I don't think that's Miami. It'd be very anti-Eric Spoelstra, Pat Riley to go for a player like Zach Edey here. I said when I mocked it the first time that I didn't like putting Edey here. I just kind of did. But I think they'll like Jared McCain's ability. Great feel as a point guard with big-time pull-up threat, big-time catch-and-shoot threat. Really good on-ball, pesky point-of-attack defender as well. And I think that's just the type of player that the Miami Heat would prefer in this position. Again, like, there's no need for Portland to take this guy. 13 is probably a bit too early, and they don't really need him either. Jared McCain, honestly, OKC might dabble, but I think this is the range. This is the start of Jared McCain's range. I think 15 to 18 is his range, but just thinking about the type of player the Miami Heat would want, this one fits the most compared to the others. Now, this is where we really get into Zach Edey territory. And if da Silva and McCain are off the board, this is where I think he goes. The 76ers take Zach Edey, 16th overall, so not to the Raptors at 19th. This is one where there's just not a lot of great options for the Sixers here, but what they get out of Zach Edey in this position is Joel Embiid's backup. I don't think they mind using Paul Reed there, but I think they just get a ton of size to back up Joel Embiid in this position, and I think they'll feel that's probably where they can just, this is just an opportunity to easily address that position. Again, I don't love pretty much any mock area for Zach Edey, but somebody's going to take a chance on him. The expectation is it's going to be in this range, and the one that makes the most sense to me is the Sixers taking that chance on him there. Yeah. The rim protection, the size, I think that's something that Nick Nurse may work with in this position. They can allocate a lot of their cap space to bringing in the guards and forwards that the team needs. Again, I want to stress, I don't love this, but somebody seemingly is taking Edey here. This makes the most sense. Now it's, again, a difficult one here because if da Silva's off the board, who do the Lakers go with? I don't like this pick I have, but it's the best I could come up with. Khalil Ware, 17 to the Lakers. Toyed with this one a lot. And it was just at the point, like, who else would they take here? They're not going to go Keyshawn George. They probably want more polished player. They're not going to go Carlton Carrington for the same reason. Would they go Furphy here? Maybe a touch too high for him. Do they go for a big who can space like Filipowski here? I don't think that's impossible. Not really any guards in this position that they didn't really need any. Like, could they go Colic this high? Maybe. But I think we'll see Anthony Davis's backup big, and a big that, on top of being able to play as a backup big, maybe he can play as a 5 with 80 at the 4. And I think the shooting upside will kind of help convince them to go with Kilauea here. It's not a very, I'm thinking about what JJ Redick would want as well. Again, I don't love Zach Edey or Kilauea. I really like everything I have so far. I really like the fit. Zach Edey and Kilauea, it's really tough to call here because I don't see the players that the Sixers or Lakers would want. Therefore, these guys could drop. So you could expect to see something unexpected in these two positions, like Colic going maybe a bit higher. Isaiah Collier going to one of these teams. Keep an eye out for that. Pick number 18. Yeah, I'm going to start buying into the Keyshawn George hype. I had him previously mock 26 to the Wizards. He got a green room invite, which is a good indicator that the hype is real behind the player. And he's been mocked in a lot of spots to the Raptors. Haven't seen him mocked any higher, but actually I have in one spot. But now I've seen him in two because I'm going to put him here. Extremely lengthy and brings in the spacing, seemingly, from his stats from his season to scale down as a really nice role player for this Magic team. They're building a good team with defense and size. Not necessarily saying he's got great defense out the gate, but overall good feel. Can play some point forward minutes, which I think is a great addition for the Magic. But the shooting, fit next to Wagner, the fit next to Banchero, I like it here. If one of the centers falls, I haven't seen anybody mock a center to Orlando, but I'm wondering if the Magic would go for a center. But I think they will like the upside here and will go for Keyshawn George in this position. Another tough one to call here for the Magic. I could see them going Furphy. Honestly, Filipowski here has some degree of sense as well to be the spacing for Banchero. I typed him in at first, but then I went, you know what? I could see them going Keyshawn George. Which brings us to the Raptors. If you've been following, this is a name I've mentioned a few times as somebody I've liked in this range, but I haven't liked enough to put him there. And I can see this reality transpiring where Jacoby Walter ends up at 19th overall to the Raptors. I haven't mocked him here. I haven't talked about him a lot because my expectation for the last few months has been Jacoby Walter is going to go a lot higher. I could see Walter going 12th to the Thunder. I could see him going 11th to the Bulls. I could see him going 13th to the Kings. But then once we get past those three teams, Portland don't need another guard. Don't need a two guard. The Heat don't need a two guard. I could see the Heat doing it, but the Heat don't really need that position. The Sixers, I had them here, and I was like, do they go for Jacoby Walter? The Sixers could take him. The Lakers wouldn't. I don't think the Magic would either because of Jalen Suggs' role there. So I think that there is a reality where Jacoby Walter slips just a little bit enough that he surprises the Raptors and ends up available at 19th overall. He was kind of the casualty of the switches I made in this range, and I see the direct path now where he's available at 19th overall to the Raptors. So brings a lot of scoring upside, is an absolutely elite shooter seemingly coming out of college. Fantastic shooter coming out of college. Can hit. He is great off catch and shoot. He's great off pull-up. He's at his best off movement shooting. Doesn't need a lot of space to fire away. Was just under 35% from three in college with Baylor last season. Solid defensive base. 6'5" with a 6'10" wingspan. Needs to work on his quickness, but there's a defensive base to work with because of the size, but just needs to be a little bit quicker. Needs to work a little bit extra with his hands to get some more deflections. And I think that there is a path for the Raptors to unlock that I think other teams see defensively somebody who's not as equipped as they thought he would be, which is why the Sixers might pass, the Lakers might pass, and the Magic might pass. So all of a sudden, in the range here, potentially for the Raptors to select with the 19th overall pick. A lot of scoring upside, a lot of size, brings in the spacing that this team really needs to add in around Scotty Barnes. I have convinced myself that this is realistic and that he falls this far. What do you guys think, though? Yeah, out of left field, I think a little bit, but I think he fits fine with everybody on the team. There was always going to need to be a need for size and shooting. He has that. Problems are, as a guard, he can't be a lead creator or ball handler. So, he's kind of more equipped to play as a small forward, but he's not big enough, doesn't defend maybe well enough to do that, but doesn't defend speed enough. So maybe it is defending the three the best spot. Can he play next to Grady? I think so. I think with the size there, if you work on his defense, that is a lineup that could exist. That just brings in a ton of shooting, man. A lot of shooting. You just gave Scotty Barnes the biggest contract in Raptors history. It's time to get shooting around him. Jacoby Walter, for me, at 19th overall to the team. So, shooting guard, not a combo guard. He is a shooting guard. He's a two guard. He not quite a three. Definitely not a point guard. Absolutely a shooting guard. So, anyways, the weaknesses, if you're concerned, if it wasn't for those, he'd be a lottery pick, and he still might be. So, going with Jacoby Walter at 19th overall, that is my new prediction for the Toronto Raptors, which leaves my guy, unfortunately, Carlton Carrington, who I have been predicting to the Raptors for this draft for a while. Well, now my guy's available at 20, where he goes to the Cleveland Cavaliers. I think Cavs go with the upside and pull-up threat here and try to work with that as a backup guard. It'd be sad for the guy I've followed all this time to see him go to a different team. But if Jacoby Walter's there, Jacoby Walter was always higher on my draft board. It was just I didn't think he'd be available at 19. Now I think there's a direct path for Jacoby Walter to be available. Carlton Carrington, one of my favorite players from this draft class, falls to the Cleveland Cavaliers, and we lose out on Bub. Kind of stinks because I've been for weeks saying Carrington's my prediction, but better players Jacoby Walter out the gate, and maybe not upside. You know what? Probably upside-wise, because there's always going to be need for shooting and size, and if you can add in defense, he is going to be. I think Jacoby Walter has potential to be one of the top players in this class, or at the very least, most impactful. All right, final 20 of the first round. Pick 21. Everyone and their mom has mocked Yves Missi to the Pelicans. I am not going to go against consensus. Defensive anchor and rebounder who knows his role, and I think will fit pretty well with the New Orleans Pelicans. Not going to rule out Masai taking a jab at him at 19th overall, but everybody's got him mocked 21st. I am not going to disagree. All right, pick number 22, a change. Phoenix still go guard. I had them going with Isaiah Collier. I've changed it. Tyler Kolek at 22nd overall. I think he's the floor general. It's going to help get this team ticking a little bit more offensively. And what I really like is that he's got the ability to kind of fit a role for this team. Gets to the rim and shoots very well off of catch and shoot spots. So that'll play really well into what the Phoenix Suns are looking for. I think that there's a bit of a void at point guard left by Chris Paul. This doesn't necessarily replace Chris Paul, but I think this solves a lot of problems that the Suns had. And I think they will relish to find a guy like this at 22nd overall. As I said, I can see him rising into this range here. I don't think Miami passed on McCain to go with Kolek. But if McCain is not there, maybe they do go for him. So I can see anywhere in this range for Kolek, but I'm going to put him at 22. And even then, that's higher than consensus, to be honest. Number 23, I had Khalil Ware here last time I did a mock draft. I did not have Filipowski in my first round last time I did a mock draft. I do now. I actually briefly had him at 20th to the Cleveland Cavaliers, but I switched up. I think the Milwaukee Bucks have the defense to kind of hide Filipowski's defensive deficiencies. And this is just going to be the start of trying to replace Brook Lopez. His floor spacing and feel out of the high post is something that fits really well for Giannis. It's going to allow him to still have that space on the interior to be a threat. So with a guy who knows the game well, great feel, good floor spacing, good passing, I think that this will cater to the stars with the Milwaukee Bucks really well. I think this is a great fit overall for Filipowski, who I see having upside to go. Where's the highest? 16 is the highest I can see. 18, I could see it to Magic. 20th, definitely can see it to the Cavaliers. But I'm going to go 23rd here, and that still feels like it's higher than consensus. Number 24, I was 50-50 last time I did the mock draft with Bobby Klintman and Ryan Dunn going here. I put Bobby Klintman. I've changed my mind. Ryan Dunn has emerged as the likely pick for the Knicks at 24th overall. Probably the best defensive player in the draft. Super versatile, big wing defender who can defend a lot of positions. Just really fits in with the hard-nosed defensive style the New York Knicks are constructing over there. Don't see them passing on Ryan Dunn with either 24th or 25th pick. I can see the Knicks moving one of these picks. If they do, I can still see Johnny Furphy going in this area. Maybe the Knicks just take him. Maybe another team takes him here. But Johnny Furphy scales well into a role player. He's a 6'9" shooting guard, small forward who scales down well to the role. This is what you're looking for, man, in the draft. This is why I keep bringing that word up, scaling down. Great off-ball shooter. Gets open off-ball. Great cutter as well. That's what you want. That's what you want of your role players. The Knicks could use that, as could another team who trades in to take him potentially at 25th overall. And now we're at the point where we've gone too far for Isaiah Collier. Another wide-range player here. I just never was a fan of Collier. He's a strong point guard who can get to the paint at will, has strong upside as a result, but he's not a good passer, turns the ball over too much, not a good defender, can't space the floor. I think the upside is too appealing for the Wizards to ignore him at 26, but the upside, there could be a team that just really likes him. I think as high as 15 is where a team starts to like Collier enough to take him. So Miami potentially. And if Collier goes 15, this whole thing is just plug your ears. This whole thing's fucked, honestly. Oh, geez, Canada scored at the Copa America. Sorry. One 0 over Peru. Look at that. Look at our boys. Sorry to interrupt. Just had the game on the whole time. Jonathan David for Canada. All right, back to the program. I can see Isaiah Collier going here, 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 maybe here, here, here. But I could also see him passing there. So too far for Isaiah Collier. Wide range of outcomes, of possibilities as to where Isaiah Collier could end up. But personally, I can see the reasoning why a lot of teams would want to pass on him. So number 26 to the Wizards. He's not going to fall out of the first round. I wouldn't call this his floor, but he's not going to fall out of the first round. Number 27. Did I have this? No, this is a change. Terrence Shannon, going to go 27th overall. Sorry for the spelling mistake. He's a good athlete, great defender, good inside scorer, type of guy that the Minnesota Timberwolves have liked to work with. And just to add to their arsenal of defensive wings, this would be a welcome sight for that team. Terrence Shannon, going 27th overall. He's not guilty and maybe heading to the Minnesota Timberwolves. The casualty from this position, by the way, is Tyler Smith, who honestly, the more I learned about, the more I did not really like as a prospect. He's fallen out of my first round completely. Number 28, De'Ron Holmes. Oof, I can really see him going 25th to the Knicks. I can really see him going 23rd to the Bucks. I can see him going 21st to the Pelicans. I can see him going 20th to the Cavs. I don't even put it past the Magic or Raptors to like him, but 28th for now. Yeah, I gotta. I could see him going higher for sure. Versatile big, can space the floor and play his role. The reports are that Denver have made him a draft promise. If he falls to them, that's if. But how I've laid out my mock draft, I think he will fall to them. Number 29, another player who has jumped into my first round. It is Jalen Tyson going to the Utah Jazz. I would really like Jalen Tyson to fall out of the first round and into the hands of the grateful Toronto Raptors at 31st overall. But I think as high as Milwaukee at 23, could a team like Jalen Tyson enough to go with him in that position? Physical shot creator, who knows how to score. It's hard to score in the NBA. He knows how to score. He knows how to use his body to score. He's a good shot creator. That scoring pop will be something the Jazz could work with. I think if Deron Holmes isn't available, that the Nuggets would also consider wanting to work with him at 28th overall. But I see a lot of teams liking him. 30th overall, no change, surprisingly. I still think Kevin McCullar is an interesting one for the Celtics. He played, I think, 5 years of college, but he is, he's experienced, good defender, hustles, cuts, good shooting upside. That's something the Celtics can work with coming off of an NBA championship, which leaves Bobby Klintman on the board at 31st overall for the Raptors to take. Didn't put him in my graphic here, but 31st in this reality. I am going with Bobby Klintman for the Raptors there. 6'10", power forward with a 6'11" wingspan, with shooting upside, decent feel for the game, good cutter. Raptors will like to work with that at 31st overall. All right. Whew. Quicker than the last one we did, but that is the mock draft. Yeah, what do you guys think? I don't want it to look like I'm copping out here on Walter, where, he's expected to go higher, so, I can't really look bad if Walter goes like 13th to the Kings. I can just be like, oh, well, I had him going to the Raptors, so I guess I can't be wrong because he went way too early. I genuinely see the way in which Jacoby Walter falls to this position. So I kind of was making this draft, and I'm like, I have no choice but to continue to drop Jacoby Walter. And if he's available at 19, the Raps should take him. Still very high on Carlton Carrington. He remains high on my list. Khalil Ware is pretty high on my list. I actually want to concede. I've come around quite a bit to Zach Edey's potential fit with the Raptors, but he's not one of the highest players on my list. The highest player on my list of hopefuls to drop to 19 is Tristan da Silva. Second on my list was Jacoby Walter. Third on my list was Jared McCain. So I think Jacoby Walter can still fall here. But if he doesn't, then Carlton Carrington is still my guy. I still really like Carlton Carrington to go to the Raptors at 19th overall. But there's a lot of different ways this draft could go down. Any questions? Any draft questions here? Done a bit earlier than I thought I would be. But that is my mock draft. Yeah, Connect is a bit wild to go that high, but he just continued to rise up on draft boards. A couple months ago, you could have said he would be available at 19 for the Raptors. You can't do that anymore. What's his floor? His floor is 10. Utah would take him at 10 if he's there, period, for me. Grizzlies might think about him at 9. Spurs will think about him at 8 if he's there. But I think that his ceiling is 6, and I think the Hornets like that enough to take him, unless they trade that. My theory: Grizzlies trade up to 6, draft Klingon. Hornets trade down to 9, draft Connect. That would be my theory, but trades are hard to predict. I'm going to go with Connect, the 23-year-old, at 6th overall. Biggest, mock draft busters, we'll call them, like the ones that throw this off completely. I still don't love Edey or Ware at 16 and 17. I don't love those. Those change around a lot because if Ware doesn't go there, he probably goes 23rd earliest to the Bucks. So if that's the case, then maybe the Lakers have gone Maybe they've gone Jacoby Walter. Maybe they've reached for Ryan Dunn. I don't know. That would throw this one off a lot. Isaiah Collier going into like 15th to the Heat would just ruin this thing. Absolutely destroy. Well, actually, wouldn't destroy this because then Jared McCain would probably go either 16 or 18. The Lakers are a really tough one to call. I think the hardest one to call on this is the Lakers. They have a clear need, but in that range, if it's not De Silva, there's nobody I really like for them. So it's tough. It was tough. One of the more difficult draft classes to mock, in my opinion, but I've tried my hand here. I'm going to lock this one in. I'm not going to make, unless there's a report that virtually guarantees a player ending up somewhere, my plan is to not change this mock draft and to roll into the NBA draft with this as is. Tomorrow, I'm going to go through my hierarchy in a video of Raptors draft prospects. My number one guy is going to be Tristan De Silva. My number two guy is going to be Jacoby Walter, who I expect to be available now. Not expect, but have a good feeling that he could be available to the Raptors at 19th. So he's going to be very high on my list. So tomorrow, Wednesday, June 26th, video, Raptors top draft targets, live stream for pick 11 onwards for the first round of the NBA draft. You want to see me do the top 10? Head over to youtube.com/attheboardhq to check out my live stream for the top 10 picks of the draft. Thursday, reaction video to the pick for the Raptors. That video could come out also Wednesday night instead, right after the draft. We'll see if I'm up for it. Thursday, 4 p.m. Eastern time, second round of the draft. I'll be live here for that. For the Raptors selection at 31st overall. Friday, video reacting to that draft pick. Friday, it's no stream Friday. I'm going to chill. Sunday, June 30th, free agent frenzy, 5:30 p.m. Eastern time. I'll be live here to cover the free agent news as it happens. Monday, July 1st, Canada Day, video covering the Raptors free agent moves. Bleach Report live stream covering the NBA free agent moves, not just the Raptors. So, yeah. If you want to know where all my content is happening, follow me on Twitter at Jacob_Gramegna. If you want to see where all the content is coming at you on this channel, subscribe, hit the notification bell. If you enjoyed this one along the way, make sure you do hit that like button. There's a lot of guys that the Raptors could draft tomorrow that would make me happy, but the happiest would be Tristan De Silva. Second happiest would be Jacoby Walter. Third happiest would be Jared McCain. Fourth happiest would be Carlton Carrington. There you go. Final thing here, S. Antonio. In my opinion, being how weak this draft is, I see players like Sheeran, Connect falling into late 20s, early 30s, with teams choosing to draft younger players they can develop. I actually think the opposite. I think teams are more likely to go with a more polished player they can be more confident in earlier in the draft. That's how I would approach a weaker draft class, to be honest, which is why Devin Carter is 8th, which is why Dalton Connect is 6th. I mean, even if they don't go that high, they're both likelier to be in the top 10 than not at this point. So we'll see. I think there's a wide range of outcomes for anything to happen here, but Dalton Connect, his floor is 10. If he's available at 10, Jazz take him. That's my opinion. Strong opinion at that. All right, guys, that'll do it for me. Going to watch the last 5 minutes of this historic, potentially Canadian result for the soccer program. Hope you all have a very good night. I hope to see you tomorrow at my Raptors top draft target video, or I hope to see you at the live stream tomorrow for the first round of the NBA draft. Thank you so much, everybody. Hope you enjoyed.